which Jason Smelski does not have. So I would say that that Edgar Flores has a pretty substantial advantage just based on the matchup.
Agreed. I think Edgar Flores has an advantage, but I'm interested to see how it plays out. The players, it's not really a matchup we would see very often, so see what happens. I like Edgar's brew for this tournament, though. Time might be right for some kind of fairies deck. Like I said, it was big in Seattle about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and Zoo was getting more popular. This was right about when Star City Open Series was starting, and metagame started getting more defined. Deck sort of was up to the top, and fairies got a little worse. But I could definitely see it coming out now. I've played a lot with this deck. One card that is notably absent from Edgar's list, even though he's got 4 Confidants and 4 Bitter Blossoms, he has no Chrome Moxen. And that's a card that a lot of people would play because you can go turn 1 Bitter Blossom, turn 1 Mox. Even just holding up mana for Spellstutter Sprite or turn 2 Vanillion Click can be very good. And I'm kind of curious as to why he doesn't have them, at least a couple. They seem so good here. Certainly a card that I would probably put in my deck, but Edgar maybe strides the deck out, didn't end up wanting the Moxes. See what happens. Looks like he's satisfied with his opening 7. I think the players are good. And now they're ready to go off to the races. Or maybe Edgar's still in the tank. Alright, yeah, we're playing. Alright, looks like Polluted Delta turn 1 from Edgar Flores. And Polluted Delta meets Polluted Delta. One is signed, though. Jason's got the signed one. Ships back to Edgar. See if Edgar goes for one of his mini potent 2-drops here. He also, I think I saw a Spell Pierce, so it's possible he might want to wait a turn and then play something with Spell Pierce backup. Taps a Swamp. Cabal Therapy, okay. So, what do you Cabal? All you know is Polluted Delta. What do you Cabal Therapy? That is a hard name. Brainstorm, maybe? Dark Confidant? Probably not. Brainstorm and Mental Misstep are all, like the safe ones, but your therapy is likely to get misstepped. So, I think you probably named Brainstorm. That's actually really interesting. If all you see is Polluted Delta, what do you think you therapy? Let us know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Twitter. You can name Force too. Like that's kind of probably a legit name. And Jason doesn't end up misstepping it. What do you think, Brian? If all your opponent has this Polluted Delta and you play good Cabal Therapy, what would you name with it?
That is an interesting question. Force of Will is a perfectly reasonable name. I mean, it really depends because I mean they have to let it resolve first because there's a lot of things that they would have that they potentially like Brainstorm or Mental Misstep are cards that are totally reasonable names, but they would likely respond with.
And Edgar chooses the misstep. Jason's the misstep here.
And he is trying to fight through that Cabal Therapy.
I mean, the cards I can think of are like misstep, but they'll probably misstep your Cabal Therapy. Brainstorm, Force of Will.
Mm-hmm. Dark Confidant is a reasonable one.
Confidant's not like if you hit with Confidant's very good, but there's a chance you miss.
And there's Force of Will. So it's interestingly that's one of the cards that would very likely be named with this Cabal Therapy that he's getting in addition to the card that is being pitched. What did he pitch?
Days.
That Days.
So
that gives him a lot more. That gives him a lot more information. Actually,
it does give him some more information. Not a ton more, but a little more information.
And now I'm curious whether he is Force of Willing the misstep or the therapy. Because he's Force of Willing the misstep, then Edgar can still misstep. If he Force of Wills the therapy, he can't actually misstep again.
Very true.
The interaction of misstep with other cards like that makes it so that the actual target of your counter spells is much more important than it used to be.
And the counter battle ends, therapy doesn't resolve, but Edgar goes for a Dark Confidant on the turn after. And so Jason needs to deal with that.
He is down to very few cards in hand after that fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was for turn 2, that exhausted a lot of both players' resources, especially with those forces, including Force and Misstep, and Jason taps 2 for Smother on Dark Confidant. Daze from Edgar Flores. Going to try and make sure that doesn't happen.
Are those just written on polluted?
I think they're signed.
Underground rivers. They kind of look like they're
I think
scribbles in the artwork.
I think I've seen those before, and he draws the Loch Ness Monster in them.
That's kind of cool. So,
flips Riptide Laboratory. First card for the turn.
So Edgar gets in with Dark Confidant, who is already helping him run away with this game.
Yep, just already giving him a free card.
If you look at Jason's hand, is that a Brainstorm in his hand? It looks like he has 2 tropical islands, and then
There's 1 tropical island.
Look like a blue card. Is that a Jace? Jace.
Yeah, Jace.
And
Edgar
Spell-Pierce.
cannot Spell Pierce that quickly enough. Missteps the Spell Pierce.
Edgar has Spell Pierced many a Jace in his day,
and
I'm sure.
Edgar just has 3 lands.
It looks like this Jace is resolving, and Jace can trump even Bob.
Do you think you bounce the Bob here?
I think that's a totally reasonable call, because Bob can attack Jace, and it's giving him a stream of cards. That said, I mean, depending on what Jason actually has in his own hand, I think you really want to bounce the Bob to prevent Edgar from if he does play, say, his own Jace this turn, you don't end up being behind on the board.
Edgar cracks his land, just thinning his deck a little bit. I'm surprised he does that. A lot of times players will wait for it to draw Brainstorm or something. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure he just has a bunch of lands and Dark Confidant.
And a Riptide Laboratory. So Edgar draws. I can't really tell what that was.
Some blue card.
I think he most likely wants to just replay Bob here.
Yeah. Sounds right to me. Probably leave the island untapped.
So Jason can brainstorm on his turn if he
and then try and find an answer.
To Bob. Though here if he doesn't find an answer to Bob, Bob just kills Jace. Wastelands the underground sea rather. So many underground things. The underground briny pools or whatever.
Yeah, underground briny pools of doom and despair and death and such.
So that's what's in the briny pools. Doom and despair and death and such.
That's why when creatures die, they go there.
Edgar also has the correct island, by the way, and a very shiny one.
Yeah, of course it's shiny. Although, is that swamp just like random and not shiny?
It is both not shiny swamp and not full art. And, like, who are you, Edgar? What happened?
I think it's probably added a swamp at the last minute. Guess we got to find one. Jason Fate Seals and puts the card on the bottom. And there's Tarmogoyf from Jason Smelski.
Okay. That leaves him in a sort of parity position. So
Vendilion Click.
That can help break the parity.
Especially with that Riptide Lab.
Right. Vendilion Click here is definitely very powerful. It can attack the Jace over the Tarmogoyf, and it can give him a lot of information about his opponent's hand, or help him get rid of useless cards in his own hand to try and find some better action.
Right. Edgar plays the Polluted Delta. And just ships the turn. Likely you're going to see Vendilion Click at some point. Then you do it draw step or end step.
I think you want to end step it here. You don't want to give Jason the option of bouncing it with Jace. Though it looks like Jason did just draw Force of Will, which can potentially make that click much less likely to turn this game around.
It answers that click pretty well.
Though it does cost Jason 2 cards, which with Jason play he can afford.
Puts the cards back. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He wants to look at Edgar's graveyard. Sees that there's a therapy there. Still is that therapy, although I don't think Confidant is going to do it.
I think he's looking to figure out how big the Goyf is.
Taps 3. There's Mid's Combat Vanillion Click.
It's like a Ghastly Demise hitting it. That's a Brainstorm. Okay. Ghastly Demise, I guess, is in the sideboard.
So Nick Roush points out something interesting on Twitter. He says that he wouldn't name Brainstorm with the turn 1 Cabal Therapy because they would likely brainstorm in response. However, just like this weird mind game where like if they don't brainstorm in response, you're less likely to name Brainstorm.
Right.
So I mean, you don't if you're just blowing your Brainstorm on turn 1 for little value, I think keeping it is often correct.
So Edgar goes for Mental Misstep on the Brainstorm, which it's not clear if that leaves Jason Smelski with a blue card that he can use to pitch a Force of Will. Looks like his hand.
Oh, I thought he was pitching it. Nope, Tropical Island.
So I think you just let him keep
Yeah, you can have those. They're all yours, buddy. And then he takes damage from Tarmogoyf.
And yeah, and now Jason's gonna die. Because Jason Smelski is down to just a Force of Will. And another Bob.
Down to 11.
Down to 11, but with quite the beatdown going. So we can...
and he also has that laboratory.
That lab, yeah. That lab can make any of his creatures into Blinking Spirits, effectively, against that Tarmogoyf.
And especially get... Once,
lab is 2 to use, right?
Lab is 2 to use and taps also.
Right.
So 3 total.
So if he can play another Bob here.
Block and pick it up.
Block and pick it up, yeah.
Yeah. And also...
Or he doesn't necessarily die to his Bobs if he's too aggressive with his life loss.
And also, in a turn or two, he can start clicking Jason every single turn if he wants. So granted, he has to play around that Force that he knows is there. Mm-hmm. But Jason probably just has to pass here.
So, well, it looks like he drew Smother. And Smother would be a... he could actually potentially attempt to smother that Dark Confidant.
Nope, just gets in.
He attacks. So, because Edgar... That's a very, 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 very large Tarmogoyf because a Planeswalker just died. So I believe that's a... Is that a 5/6 or a 6?
We still have artifacts and enchantments, right?
So there's no artifacts, there's no enchantments, there's no tribal. There's no... but as soon as a Bitter Blossom hits the graveyard...
And we will have tribal. Yeah, couple cards. Couple tribal cards.
When in Old Extended, I was playing a Life from the Loam, sort of aggro Loam deck that had Bitter Blossom in it. And one of my favorite things was when I would have Goyf in play.
And dredge.
Yeah, dredge up a Bitter Blossom. There was actually one point where I Ravenscrimed myself, discarded Bitter Blossom for the giant growth of my Tarmogoyf.
That's pretty sweet. Edgar goes for a Brainstorm. Yeah, those mysterious trap cards. Or like in the Doran deck that made top 8 of Amsterdam, did really, really well there. They had Nameless Inversion.
They did?
Well, I mean, you did. But, I mean,
just gonna play, that Doran deck. They top 8 they had Nameless Inversion.
I mean, all the people in the top 8.
Yeah.
You know, there were 2 Dorans in the top 8. Right?
It was me and Brad.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and but yeah, Nameless Inversion was often made Tarmogoyfs monstrous. A Spellstutter Sprite gets dazed.
And just blocks with the Confidant.
So
picks up Pluto Delta, draws a Stifle.
So Edgar, with only 8 life, that Tarmogoyf is actually kind of problematic. He's gonna have to stop that every turn, just about. And looking at Edgar's list, he doesn't have any removal.
Yeah.
He has Jitte, and Bitter Blossom are really his ways to stop Tarmogoyf. So he needs to really use that lab to control it for the rest of the game.
And serves him for 5. All right. So yeah, now he probably just gonna go Confidant and hold back Riptide Laboratory.
It says go.
Interesting. He's got Stifle in his hand. What's his play? I guess he can pick up Click and play it again. That's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he did that.
He does know that his opponent has Force of Will in his hand. So.
Yeah. And I mean, that Tarmogoyf is, you take 1 hit and you can't really leave Bob in play anymore.
Yeah. I'm
a little perplexed.
A little curious what the plan is here.
Alright, draws his guard. It looks like Force And a black card. I can't tell what the black card is. Or, no, green card, Tarmogoyf. Edgar. Cannot spell stutter fast enough. Alright, well, he's got a spell stutter. That was his plan.
Alright, yeah.
The pre-combat Tarmogoyf draws that spell stutter.
That's a little...
Pre-combat Tarmogoyf.
A little suspect.
Oh, but he doesn't pick it up. Interesting.
Does he not have...
He's got 2 mana in Riptide Lab.
What is he doing?
Wait, what?
He thinks it's from the...
Oh,
dear.
no. He thought it was the zombie one.
That explains a lot of what's been going on here.
That explains so much. Edgar just... So Riptide Laboratory is part of a cycle, and the black one put zombies on top of your deck.
Yeah.
The blue one returns wizards to your hand.
So Edgar seemed to think that it put a wizard from his graveyard on top of his deck. So he blocked with his spell setter sprite, did not return it, and then tried to put it on top of his deck. So
no, that's not how that works. That does explain a lot, though.
Yeah.
It's good Edgar finds that out now.
Right.
And he's still in a fine position. He's got a Mutavault.
He gets to hit for 5 here. That Mutavault is also a wizard.
Yep.
And he can block bounce with that.
It is.
Mutavaults are all types.
Mutavaults are all types. Soon to be werewolves.
Did Edgar gain life somehow? I thought he was at 8. Apparently the life totals were previously incorrect that we had here, and Edgar is in fact at 10 life.
Well, that does change things
That
slightly.
also changes the Goyf math a bit.
So
Jason Smelski down to 3. That means that
Click is lethal.
Click is lethal.
Except for there's a 5/5 Tombstalker in the way.
Tombstalker makes Click less lethal.
And it might downsize the Goyf a little, though, depending on what cards he removes. Someone on Twitter, let's see, Timothy Jackson asks if he's running Volrath's Stronghold, got the 2 confused, but he's not running Volrath's Stronghold, so...
It's not... Zombie Grotto and Volrath's Stronghold are the same card, except for Zombie Grotto is only zombies.
Only zombies, yeah. Unholy Grotto or
Unholy Grotto, yeah. I had that card in a constructed deck for a while.
The zombie deck in Standard, man.
Yeah.
When you kept returning Gem Palm Polluter, it was impossible to lose.
That was exactly what I would often do. That was the zombie the Rotlung Reanimator deck.
Yep. Yeah, man, we're going way back. This is pre-modern.
Yeah. These are cards that are not legal in Modern.
Yeah. We're so old.
I have played Magic for a long time. It was actually last night. I was out with Edgar Flores, Nick Spagnolo, and Alex Bertoncini, all of whom have consecutive birthdays right after my own. My birthday was actually Wednesday. I believe Nick's was Thursday, Edgar's was Friday, and Alex's was Saturday. And we were talking, and sort of came up that given that we were talking about birthdays, how old each of us were, and it turns out that I won a Grand Prix when Alex Bertoncini was 7.
Yep. So these are some young guns here.
I'm pretty old.
We've been playing this game for a long time.
So,
in the meantime, looks like that Tombstalker. Edgar deploys a Bitter Blossom, trying to use the tokens to get around and deal the last 3 points of damage before he gets killed by, say, Dark Confidant or something. All right, untaps, draws, gets a 1/1 token, flips over another Vendilion Click. Draws.
So, the second Vendilion Click not quite as good as the first.
See if he can suicide the first one next turn, potentially. Or he's got Cabal Therapy in his hand, too, he could use. Would that get click favorably?
Vendilion Click is a really weird card in the fact that it's a legend.
Yeah, I always thought that was very strange.
It seems so poorly named for a legend. Because you have Mistbind Click, which is not a legend. Then you have Vendilion Click, which is a legend. It's like, what?
It also just feels like a really strange legend.
So Cabal Therapy, and Jason knows that Edgar knows that his card is forceful, I believe.
Yeah, it should still be forced.
So, I mean, it seems like he might as well... Yeah. Just let it resolve. So Jason at 3 life. Edgar at 6 now.
And
looks like Edgar just has to say go.
Yeah, passes back. At what point do you return your Dark Confidant with Riptide Laboratory to make sure you don't die to Bitter Blossom? Or to Confidant?
I mean, I don't know how much info. It looks like he's, yeah, he goes to kill. I think Riptide Lab, and Stifle takes care of that. Jason plays a second Wasteland, and goes for it again. He's killing Mutavault rather than Riptide Lab. So now that Goyf is potentially a lethal attacker. Is it 6 power? There's instant, creature, sorcery, land, planeswalker. There's only 5.
Okay. Let's see. So how long is it going to take for Edgar to fight past that? So he gets a second token here. We know he's got a second
And
click.
another Bob. So
Oh man.
now that means that any
Draws.
any hit from Thoughtseize not really what he wants right now.
No.
Any hit from either creature that Jason controls is lethal. And pretty difficult for Edgar to push past them.
I think he has to wait. All right. So what he can do? No, that puts him 1 too short. He has to wait a turn. Yeah. So he could attack with click and the token. He would block click, take 1 from the token. Click would die, or then Edgar could play another click, untap, do the same thing. That only brings Jason down to 1. So he has to wait a turn until he has 3 tokens, and then go for it and try something like that.
Well, if he attacks with a click and a token, I mean, he doesn't lose anything by doing that, right? Like, he's actually just getting a damage. His click will die, but he doesn't want that click in play anyway because he already has it in his hand.
Right, I think he can set that up next turn, though, and make it lethal instead of... Lethal, I guess it's lethal in 3 turns either way.
My point is that
it's the same amount of turns, I guess.
And, I mean, Edgar's very low life, so...
Yeah, both players sitting at only 3. He doesn't have a lot of time. I would have returned that Dark Confidant with that Riptide Lab man stuff, but maybe you suicide the Confidant in too.
Well, I mean, that doesn't... Yeah, I mean, that... You can... Yeah, okay. It looks like he's sending these 2.
All right, Edgar attacks with Confidant, Click, and one of the 2 tokens.
So... Seems like Jason... He has to block Vendilion Click because it's lethal.
Jason Barnett points out on Twitter that Edgar could have animated his Mutavault and saved it with his Riptide Lab last turn, which would have been big.
That's also true.
All right, so probably Tarmogoyf on Dark Confidant. And then Tombstalker on Vendilion Click. Take 1. What I imagine is going to happen here. I don't know what's in Jason's hand, though. Might be some tricks we don't know about.
Well, I believe Jason has no cards. Because he was just Cabal Therapy for his Force of Will.
Okay, yeah.
Then drew a Wasteland.
That's what I thought. His hand was off screen, but okay, yeah. No, he doesn't have anything.
His hand is, in fact, on screen because there's nothing there.
Yeah. Oh, it's true.
So, Jason takes...
It's like physical hand.
Yeah. Jason takes 1 damage, goes down to 2 life. Edgar probably not going to Thoughtseize here.
would recommend against it. I'd also recommend playing against second Bitter Blossom.
I think what Edgar wants to do is actually click himself, get rid of the Thoughtseize.
Let's Jason draw.
Yeah, maybe Brainstorm. That complicates matters.
All right. Well, Brainstorm probably just resolves.
Well, if you have the click, which we know he does, he may want to click himself in response and try
a misstep.
Yeah, you can hit mental misstep.
And he draws Force, Daze, I think Scalding Tarn.
So the only card that's relevant right now is Daze. So I think you just put Daze on top because potentially, what does Edgar's mana situation look like?
He's got 3, 4, 5. He has 7 lands, but one of them is a Scalding Tarn that would, I don't think if he can afford to crack.
Right.
So 6 lands maybe.
So Jason can't afford to attack with Tombstalker because he dies in the attack back to the pair of fairies. He actually also dies to the Vendilion Click if he doesn't force something to block. So I think Jason has to attack with Tarmogoyf here. to make sure Edgar can't present lethal next turn.
It's probably wondering if Edgar has a removal spell. But I don't think he's got a lot of choice, right? That's really the only play he can make.
If he, there's a lot of times people try and play around things that they can't afford to play around. Right.
And if
he has it, he has it.
Lose anyway.
So I think Jason has to attack with Tarmogoyf here, force the block with a Fairy Token or Vendilion Click. Exactly, Tombstalker. Attack it with both of them. Wow. Okay. This is actually a pretty similar situation. So it looks like he's gonna daze that, which means that the Riptide Lab can't return it.
Oh, 2 of Edgar's lands are fetch lands.
Oh, are they?
I thought only 1 was.
Oh dear. So yeah, he dazes it. So he's just gonna have to pay with the Riptide Lab, I think. Oh no, there's 3, but there's another land out there anyway. So yeah, that will prevent him from being able to effectively return it. So Edgar has to block.
Yeah. And then I think this game favors Jason.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that Edgar was in such dire straits with his mana / life.
I guess
so.
There are a lot of cards Edgar could draw. Edgar gets 1 more turn.
Anything that can stop a creature.
Right. He's going to attack Jason down to 1. And if he draws a creature, he's also good, right?
Did he?
But he drew
did he not? Did he not click anyone?
He couldn't because he has 2 fetch lands.
No, he can use the target ability of the click.
Oh,
he didn't resolve.
No,
the click
he did not
at all. He should have clicked himself, got rid of Thoughtseize.
So, is it just presumed that he targeted himself and chose to take nothing? Then
I don't know.
We should
that's
go to the judge on that one.
A little odd. I mean, we've gone beyond the turn.
Right. Obviously, nothing can happen now, but appropriate. If it was a mistrigger, warning could be handed out.
Yeah. So,
Edgar plays Brainstorm, puts 2 cards back, plays a Wasteland, serves for 1.
Jason down to 1 life. Edgar
needs a creature or a removal spell.
He really needs that Spell Center sprite he tried to return from his graveyard.
Yeah, awkward. Really awkward. Yeah, the Riptide Lab has done nothing this game except for try and return a dead Spell Center sprite.
So does he have a...
He does have Dark Confidant he can play.
All right, well, Dark Confidant's enough if Jason has nothing, and we know that Jason has... We know that Jason has a blank on top of his deck because he brainstormed.
So he didn't target with the click. I believe you have to choose a target, but I guess that you just targeted him and then chose nothing. That's what the shortcut would be.
Yeah, I mean, or target the opponent who has no cards in hand.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Turn. So attack you.
I will block.
I will choose to block. Stay alive.
I will return Dark Confidant to my hand. Now that I know what this does.
Yes. Figured out in time. And now that lone fairy token.
1 life to 1 life.
That lone fairy token will crank over for that last point of damage.
There it comes. And that's the game.
Wow.
That was a squeaker.
That was a squeaker.
So, Edgar Flores takes the first game, learns what his Riptide Laboratory does.
All right. Good start.
All right, well, we've got a good start to the day. So, taking a look at these 2, that was a long game.
That was I took at least 20 minutes, if not more.
So, how do you think these 2 decks sideboard against one another?
Let's see. Out of Jason Smelski's deck, not getting a Lawan, not getting Perish, Ghastly Demise, maybe if you want to fight Dark Confidant.
It is non-black.
It is non-black?
Yeah,
okay,
I think so.
All right. There's 8 minutes left.
Wow.
First game...
18 minutes.
Oh, 18 minutes left. All right. This first game took 32 minutes. I can't do math. I hope that's right. Yeah, sounds right to me. So Ghastly Demise, probably not coming in. Leyline, no. Metamorph, probably not. Loam, probably not. Go for the Throat is a card that could come in here. I can see Go for the Throat coming in.
Yeah, Go for the Throat's a fine card. Life from the Loam, also potential card. The rest of the sideboard, doesn't really do that much in this matchup. Edgar has access to Spell Pierce
and Spell Snare.
Both of which are pretty good. Damnation in the sideboard, that Diabolic Edict, Smother, and Doomblade.
I think he probably plays a bunch of removal spells.
He definitely wants the Edicts, definitely wants the Smother. Doomblade kills Tarmogoyf, probably wants that just for Tarmogoyf.
May or may not want that.
Maybe Dark Blast. Dark Blast does kill Dark Confidants. Any number of Dark Confidants.
Pierce and Snare, I think he wants to bring in Snare for sure. And maybe
yeah,
Pierce.
most likely.
I mean, Snare hits Confidant, him, Tarmogoyf. Like, those are some big spells.
He doesn't really have all that many cards that he really wants to take out, though. I mean, if you look at his deck, Jitte maybe, though Jitte is also a reasonable way to fight the Dark Confidant war.
Stifle seems like a cuttable card.
Yeah, I mean, his opponent is playing Wasteland, which is a card that you often want to stifle. You can stifle Deeds.
Fetch lands.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're playing Stifle, it's a card that I guess on the draw it's much worse too. So I could certainly see taking Stifles out. I can see boarding some number of Dazes out as the games go relatively long.
Yeah, I can definitely see boarding out some Dazes. Yeah, I don't know. Stifle's a card I've just never been a fan of in these kind of decks. It's does all these niche tiny things that like don't ever seem to matter as much as you want them to. You can live the dream and hit like a Wasteland or something, but
yeah, I mean, I think that Stifle's a card that it looks so good when it's good, but it's so often just sitting in your hand doing nothing.
Or the thing is, you cast it most of the time, but what you do is so marginal. You like kill their fetch land on like turn 6 or something.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it has like very high impact in a very small portion of the game. Stifling a turn 1 fetch land, stifling a wasteland, these all can all be very good. But unless your deck has its actual proactive, powerful ways to use Stifle, things like Phyrexian Dreadnought, I'm generally much less of a fan of the card.
I agree.
It's also a much worse card now that Mental Misstep exists, and it's not just a strip mine.
Right? Yeah, they just misstep you. I guess that you trade for a misstep, maybe you're okay with that.
Yeah. But it's just when you're aspiring to trade with a misstep when you put the card in your deck, it's much less exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just the existence of misstep makes it a less attractive card by the merit that it's a 1-cost card. So.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, previously, I mean, one of the things that was so powerful about Stifle was that there was nothing your opponent could do other than like force of will if you wanted to basically strip mine them with it when they sack the fetch land. Now the fact that there is an easier way to deal with it makes the card in itself less attractive because it can't dominate the early game in the same way, and it still has that same diminishing utility as the game progresses.
Right. All right. So not a lot of time left. Players heading into game number 2. Edgar Flores up a game.
So Jason Smelski looks like he keeps his hand. Edgar also looks like he keeps. And Jason debating his turn 1 play. It is Underground Sea. Passes the turn back.
Sea.
And Wasteland takes out the Underground Sea. Looks like Jason is Brainstorm.
All right. It's pretty reasonable. Edgar missteps instantly.
Is Jason misstepping back? Perhaps dazing. I don't know that. I don't actually know that I misstepped. Just because you open yourself up to daze.
A lot of problems. I think there are a lot of problems with misstep there. I mean, also just I don't think that Brainstorm is that good of a brainstorm.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I think it's primarily the fact that you make your Wasteland potentially countered by daze that I would not misstep there. But apparently Jason did not have a daze and misstep resolves.
Plays Verdant Catacomb. And cracks it.
So we see yet another Loch Ness Underground Sea.
Huh. And Rob Alexander did the original Dual Lands, right?
I believe he did that one.
That's the signature that I see. So, or yeah, or at least Underground Sea. Pretty sure he did, and I think that's the signature. Taps 2, plays Tarmogoyf. So Tarmogoyf down. Edgar's board Blue Delta and Mutavault.
So Mutavault does not match, and yet that is Bitter Blossom. So it is sort of weird how, looking at Edgar's deck, we talked about this a little bit in game 1, how poorly set up he is to actually kill a creature. He has no actual creature removal spells.
After sideboarding it, the changes, but yeah.
It's possible that he has, and he's getting dazed now. So interestingly, that we did not have the days to save the land from Force of Will, from Wasteland, but a couple turns later, it shows up to stop Bitter Blossom.
Why don't you think this deck has Chrome Box? It seems so good.
Look at how big this Goyf is.
It's got tribal.
He just countered a tribal enchantment.
Tribal instant lands.
There's no creatures yet, but already tribal instant land.
Enchantment.
Yeah, already a 4/5.
Why don't you think this deck has Chrome Box? It seems like the perfect fit for a Chrome
Edgar's
Box
deck?
Yeah, for Edgar's deck.
I don't know.
Like you have 8 very potent, 2-drops you want to play.
Yeah, I would probably be playing Chrome Box in this deck.
Yeah, I played probably 2 or 3 boxes, but Edgar chose not to. Plays Medallion Click, or sorry, Brainstorm, not Medallion Click. I don't know why I said that.
Medallion Click. They're pretty similar cards, so
just dreaming.
Both of them involve cards.
Just dreaming about my Medallion Click. Sorry, I like that card a lot.
I think I've actually been reading too much of Song of Fire and Ice lately. I've actually been dreaming about wolves and stuff.
Or maybe it's just Innistrad.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
There you go. You're going to transform. All right, there goes Bitter Blossom.
Another Bitter Blossom comes down. This one, Force of Will.
Jason quickly forces that.
So another interesting thing about Edgar's deck is he doesn't have Jaces on his own.
Yep, you can't fight Jaces by playing his own Jace.
So he's
I would probably play a Jace or 2 in this kind of deck.
Yeah, I feel like I would want both Jace and removal. I mean, he's fitting the Bitter Blossom somehow, and that's through having he has a discard and these Bitter Blossoms instead of the Jaces and removal spells that the other sort of blue-black decks tend to play.
Right.
So we see Tarmogoyf take another big chunk out of Edgar's life total.
That's 2 Dark Confidant.
Dark Confidant. Edgar is at 8. This Dark Confidant is
dead.
Well, it's dead.
Gets smothered.
And Edgar is going to be pretty dead pretty fast himself.
Cracks the fetch lands. Spell Snare maybe here.
Or Spell Pierce.
Spell X. Spell Snare.
Blue 1 casting cost card that counters something.
And
it has 2 involved somehow. It's like a theme.
Spell Snare is such a sweet card. Alright, Edgar takes it. That should bring him down to 2. It's 2 or 3.
I believe they're still the same size. Well, there's a creature dead now. No, there's actually no creature dead. It's still sitting there.
But my least favorite thing about Tarmogoyf, and there's a lot of things I hate about it, is that you have to recount your graveyard all the time, over and over.
It can be pretty annoying. It's like, how big is it now? How big is it now?
Another Tarmogoyf comes down for Jason Smelski. Flips Spell Snare.
Not quite on time, and
right.
Edgar's dead.
And Edgar just concedes.
So
wants to make sure he's got enough time for a third game.
Shuffles up for game 3.
Not a lot of time left on the clock.
They came into that game with 18 minutes left. That was a pretty quick game.
Probably 10-ish minutes by the time the next one starts.
I'm guessing they're probably going to be pretty pressed for time in this game 3. We're getting an exact count of the time right now. And yeah, there are 9 minutes remaining in the round. So
9 minutes left by the time they present.
And given how fast that game went, it's going to be pretty tough for them to finish in time. That was the fastest you're really going to expect one of these games to go, and it still took 8 or 9 minutes.
And it looks like Jason's going back to the sideboard too, changing up something he did.
I mean, a lot of people. Well, this isn't it's not any sort of like stalling or anything. You often, when you're on the draw in a situation like this, unless your deck is specifically poised in such a way that it has the advantage, in terms of finishing a fast game, you will often on the draw want to configure your deck in such a way that you can play defensively, so you don't lose quickly. While it's certainly not in your best interests for to get a draw, you'd much rather get a win. if you are very unlikely to be able to win in the time allotted, you want to make sure that you're not going to lose. So
Right.
I would not be terribly surprised if Jason Smelski made sure he was full up on removal for this game, whereas he may have cut a little bit for the last one.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of players just really undervalue how the game changes when you're on the player on the draw. We talked about this yesterday, how different the game can be on the player, on the draw, even constructed and limited. In limited, I think, first of all, sideboarding is super underutilized in limited. People
absolutely
sideboard way too rarely when you should be sideboarding probably it's in 70 or 80% of your matches.
Not even just sideboarding, but drafting for your sideboard.
Yeah.
One thing
so
that,
good.
in particular in M12, there are a lot of very powerful sideboard cards that uncommon. Things like Death Marks, things like Celestial Purge.
Yeah.
These are all very, very good cards. Flash Freeze. I mean, Purge and Death Mark are the two best of them because they're essentially just removal spells. I will often take a Celestial Purge or a Death Mark over a card that could very well end up in my main deck, just because the impact of those cards when they matter is so much higher than a random like 15th creature in your deck, 16th creature in your deck. So there are even cards that I'll often main deck.
Yeah,
Death Mark in particular, I'm perfectly happy having a main deck Death Mark because white and green are two of the core creature colors in the format. And that you can kill a Gideon's Lawkeeper or a Greater Basilisk alike. Those are both very good cards to kill. So getting back to the match, we've started off. Edgar Flores has done exactly what we were talking about. The stifle on the turn 1 fetch land on the play, much more powerful than it is in the draw. He thought seizes now.
Sees Brainstorm, Daze, Misty, Jace, 2 Brainstorms,
Whoa.
3 full house.
Daze is full of Brainstorm.
We got a full house. Man, if Edgar has a couple of therapy, Jason is not going to be happy.
That would be pretty gross.
That'd be unbelievable, yeah.
His deck does have therapy in it too.
He's got 2 therapies.
Yeah.
If he has it.
Certainly doesn't want therapy right now because he knows there's 3 Dazes on the other side of the table.
Well, I mean, he's got no land to return.
Oh, I guess that's true, yeah.
Like, it would be actually be pretty insane. Although I think I might name Brainstorm over Daze potentially, but
yeah.
Jason plays with one of his fetches, gets Underground Sea. This one is safe, no stifle from Edgar Flores. Untap, draw. Looks like is that a Mutavault? Might have been a Mutavault.
So Mutavault gets past the Daze wall, and we see a Wasteland in Edgar's hand. So
do you just waste away that Underground Sea?
Whatever you do, you should probably do it faster than Edgar is.
Yeah, not a lot of time left.
You definitely want to be able to win this game rather than draw it, and at this pace of play, this game is not ending.
Yeah, I mean, they only have about 5 minutes left.
I mean, both players, it looks like neither player has a particularly proactive hand. Jason has a trio of Dazes to go with his pair of Brainstorms, which we see one of coming out right now.
And Edgar didn't go for Confidant or Bitter Blossom.
Is Edgar looking to Daze here? Looking to Daze the Brainstorm?
Does Edgar have Vendilion Click? That'd be a reasonable thing to have here, I guess.
I wouldn't click. You know that your opponent has 3 Dazes.
I mean, not right now, but I mean, just to have a clock. Like.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's definitely a card that has an impact. It looks like that's a Diabolic Edict.
Yeah, Diabolic Edict.
Off the boat. But,
as we said back in the old days.
Yeah. The art, by the way, in Diabolic Edict is someone being thrown off a boat. So. And Edgar has shown Daze, so I hope he's casting it. Otherwise, it's a little embarrassing.
I just want you to know that I have
this.
Hey,
it's only fair. I know 3 of your Dazes. I figure I should show you one of mine.
It's like when you just pick up your morph and like hold it in the air for a second before you attack with it. Not a very good idea. Cracks Misty Rainforest.
So if Edgar wanted to Daze that Brainstorm, I'm a little surprised he didn't just Wasteland. It looks like he's trying to pin Jason's resources, keep him with the cards he knows about. He could certainly slow down his ability to generate action with that Wasteland more than that Daze. And now, if Jason does have, say, a Tarmogoyf, which it looks like he doesn't, he wouldn't have a Daze to be able to stop it.
Yeah, I think I like Wastelanding there. I mean, you're already ahead. Like, you just continue to press your advantage. All right, so Edgar activates Mutavault.
Mutavault comes in. I think I would have played my Wasteland at least before that, because...
Oh, so I did the vault. It says go to attack step.
And he's going to smother it. Yeah, he didn't... Edgar really should have played his Wasteland, because now it looks like Edgar has a Spell Pierce in his hand, and now he knows there's 3 dazes in the other side of the table. So he can't even pay for a daze if he were to Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I don't like that play by Edgar.
I'm almost certain that's a Spell Pierce in his hand.
and it's not like...
Wasteland takes out...
Tropical Island.
Okay.
Man. There's another land bet for Jason Smelski.
Cracks again.
So, yeah, pretty slow. I highly doubt this is going to finish in time. Granted, Legacy is a format where you can, just play Tarmogoyf and win in a couple attacks, but this is not looking like the game's going to end anytime soon. Unless there's a Tarmogoyf here. That'd change things up. Nope. This goes to Edgar. Edgar plays another Mutavault. Inquisition's Jason. Just going to probably take away...
Well, Jason has another Brainstorm, so he can Brainstorm a response if he wants to.
Well, he's used 2 of his Brainstorms.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he had only played 1. So he's casting Daze.
Hey.
Edgar pays. He dazes again.
All right.
I'm guessing that's his last
spell.
The last spell that matters here. So, but this is worth the information.
So basically, he traded an extra daze. So, he's gonna daze what? Well, you spent 3 dazes.
All right. That's. I guess we did know that he had the 3 dazes in his hand, but
I thought that Jason play. I didn't think it would actually happen.
Why?
I don't. Wow.
Put himself on no land.
I mean, and he just wasted 2 days.
He's 3 cards on that one Inquisition. Instead of getting, that's a good draw. I guess if there's a Confidant on top of your deck, then
I don't get that daze play.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
I probably Edict from Flores here. Yep, Edict's away the Confidant. And Jason has a Tropical Island. And there's a Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf. The top of his deck is very good to him.
Brainstorm, Edgar.
I bet he wishes... Oh, I thought that was a spell snare. I was going to say, I bet he wishes he had dazes left.
Yeah, that's so weird to me, that triple daze play.
So time has just been called. Do they have any extra time? I don't know. We're gonna figure out exactly how much time they have remaining. But the official end of the round has been called.
Edgar puts his cards back.
They have 3 additional minutes, which that Tarmogoyf may the Tarmogoyf may be enough to finish the game in. Actually that Goyf's still pretty small. But Edgar doesn't really have much action, and that Goyf looks like it may just be able to finish him.
There's creature land instant,
and it looks like...
I don't think there's anything else.
I believe Jason had a Jace in his hand as the last card. And he's attacking before casting it. I could be wrong, but I thought there was a Jace.
Alright, well, they're counting up Tarmogoyf. And there's the Jace post-combat.
I mean, that's going to get countered, and would have given Tarmogoyf an extra +1. So that's something that people are so used to playing their spells before attacking with their, after attacking with their creatures, that in situations where they really should be casting them first, they often don't.
I definitely had a couple embarrassing turns in Zendikar Limited. I always play my lands after I attack. Definitely had some embarrassing turns where I'd be like, attack, all right, landfall, go.
I actually had a particularly embarrassing series of events way back when at the Invasion Block Limited Pro Tour. Playing against Gary Wise, I had Malimo Maro Sorcerer in play. I guess +1 for every land you have.
Okay.
And didn't play my land before combat and attacked. And I was like, I felt so dumb for not playing my land that I didn't play it after combat.
No.
Which compounded my mistake when I drew a land the next turn. and like ended up getting my guy Giant Growth to death if I had just had that extra land in play. So when you make a mistake, people,
Yeah.
don't try to
cover
it up. Own up to your mistake and be like, yeah, I messed up. I'm going to take the best line of play, moving forward.
So Edgar has Mutavault, so he goes block Mutavault, return it with Riptide Laboratory. Yeah, I've seen people in like feature matches be like, well, I made a mistake. I better not show that I made a mistake. And it's like, well, like you just have to make the best play you can in every situation.
If you're more concerned with saving face than winning, then you that's a bigger problem.
There are other games for you.
Yeah. So Edgar basically just on defense here.
Yeah, Edgar just using the singleton Riptide Lab. He drew again this time with that Mutavault. Now knows what Riptide Lab does, which is certainly helping him out. Edgar's hand looks like
a bunch of reactive
click.
cards. Oh, he did just draw a click, it looks like. So
draw step, click you.
What's his hand is.
You can keep the force.
I would strongly consider clicking myself if I were Edgar, but
which card would you ship?
It looks like Pierce and Snare, right?
Yeah, ship the Pierce.
Well, I mean, I guess Jason he is afraid of potentially just running into another Jace, so maybe you just need to get it take a look at your opponent's hand.
Probably also want to just like have enough mana to like Riptide Lab, block, Mutavault, like do this over and over and over.
I think is Edgar debating whether he wants to double block. Is it even enough? Isn't that click 5 power?
I wouldn't double block there.
Yeah.
You have Riptide Laboratory.
So I think you just send in with the click and set up your wall of Mutavault.
So Edgar is at 9 now, is that correct?
I believe it's a 5 power, right?
5 power?
There's creature, instant, land, Planeswalker.
Oh, Planeswalker, right. Yeah, so 8.
And is there a sorcery? There's an Inquisition.
So 6.
No, it's creature, instant, land, sorcery, Planeswalker.
So 5.
So
okay.
5, yeah.
So,
so I believe Edgar is at...
Edgar's at 4, okay.
So
we missed a couple
of attacks. So Edgar is actually at 4 life. So he passed the turn back. I think Edgar still needed to attack there.
Yeah, like, you have to counter spells.
I mean, unless Edgar is just playing for the draw at this point,
which I think he can win this game.
I do think he can win. I mean,
with that click.
Yeah, there's. So I mean, right now, yeah, he's just
gonna return it, sure. And yeah, he's not blocking. Like he just missed 3 points of damage.
Right, no attacks, no blocks. I mean, granted, if his opponent had a removal spell, he could kill him. But Edgar also has
Snare and
Pierce in his hand.
And all removal spells probably cost 2, and you can snare anything else.
So yeah, I mean,
why would you?
Jason would be at 8 life right now if he just attacked twice.
And then yeah, you're just 3 turns off. Even if time is called, you're still good.
Right. I have not been a fan of a lot of decisions Edgar Flores has made.
I guess is he concerned about Wasteland?
Wasteland would kill him. That's true. That is a card that he would not be able to beat.
Would you rather draw or?
Are you beating Wasteland in this situation anyway? Like if he Wastelands your Mutavault,
yeah, you're probably just dead.
He attacks you. You can return it and then chump block, and then you're actually back on track there. But if he, you should just be attacking.
I mean, if he Wastelands you like
5 life here, 5 life if he'd be attacking this turn.
It looks like Jason drew Jace, or he already had a Jace, one of the two. Maybe he drew a land, had Jace in his hand, I'm not sure. I mean, so I understand Edgar's playing for the draw, but like a draw is practically a loss at this point. So would you rather go for the win? You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. Like I think that a lot of people play, just in general, they play far too conservatively in terms of what looks like there may be a Force of Will. No.
Just spell pierces the Jace.
Yeah. Well, we knew that Jason had Force of Will from Vanilla Click before, but I mean, a lot of people they play far too defensively. They play, how can I try and avoid to not losing, rather than how do I win?
Right. You gotta look how to win.
So it looks like is he blocking with Click this time? And Click just dies? What's happening? Oh, another Click. Okay, sure. Ship Spell Snare to the bottom. Draws a new card.
Looking for a removal spell, I guess. But all right, this is turn 1.
Jason, by the way, is dead this turn if he had been attacking. Jason could not have attacked last turn because he would be dead to Mutavault and Click. And he'd be dead on Edgar's next turn if he'd just been attacking this whole time.
So Edgar played for the draw, but I think he could have just won.
He would have won this game.
Yep.
If he had just been aggressive with his Vidillion Click.
And Star City Open champion Tim Skowski points out on Twitter that you should really wasteland the Riptide Lab. We saw that we saw that haunt Jason in the first game too, and in this game he could have wastelanded that Riptide Lab several turns ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you do with his wasteland?
I guess he just hit something else. It wasn't Riptide Lab, colored source potentially. In any case, this game is just a draw.
I believe they're in turn 4 now.
It's turn 3 or 4,
Turn
yeah.
3 or 4. So,
I mean, Edgar's got Lab. He's not going to let any extra attackers get through. We'll follow it out just in case something happens. And Jason serves in with Tarmogoyf. Edgar's going to do some blocking things. Turn 4.
and turns it.
Alright, dark. Alright, sure. Dark spell. Yeah, whatever. Spell snare.
Force of Will.
Force of Will. Sure. They're just going through theatrics at this point. Yeah, Jason would have easily been dead if Edgar had just been attacking.
It looks like they're discussing it.
All right, and that's a draw.
There it is.
All right, so game ends up being a draw, and that's that.